Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. So after lunch, there is very much like difficult session to be like interactive, but so now there is a panel discussion, so we'll keep it more interactive. So it gives me a great pleasure to welcome you all to today's panel discussion on current trends as regard the emerging risk, role of internal audit and risk management, and promoting the risk culture. In today's dynamic business environment, risks are no longer linear. They are interconnected, fast evolving, and often unpredictable. Internal audit is not just a watchdog now anymore, but a strategic partner in navigating these uncertainties. So once again, I will welcome all the esteemed panel, and I will give the very short introduction of each and every panelist. So CA Satish Shenoy is a seasoned finance and internal audit profession with nearly 30 years of experience across all the top level manufacturing companies like Aditya Birla, L&T, Reliance, Onida, and the list is long. And he is sweet 16 with 45 years of experience. This is not my line. I've taken from the LinkedIn.
Now 47.
Yeah, now 47. And we have Mr. S. Bhaskar. He's a chartered accountant with over 38 years of experience and a chief internal auditor in Tata Capital for 17 years, and has significant roles in professional bodies including IIA India and the Global Internal Audit Foundation. And the next is CF Bharat Ramani sir, who has experience in finance and audit with over 28 years of experience, both in the consulting firm as well as in the industry. So he has majorly worked all the big four companies. And last we have the CA Haresh Dua. So he is from the JSW. Chief Internal Auditor. So we once again please applause a very warm welcome to all the four panelists. So we'll start with the first question. So this first question will be to all the panelists. So from a financial oversight perspective, what emerging risks should CAs be the most concerned in the next 12 to 24 months? And how do you distinguish between the emerging risk and underappreciated risk in your professional experience? So, Satish ji, please start.
So, good afternoon, everybody, and warm welcome to this session. I think this session is getting hyped more than what it should, and I hope at the end of 90 minutes, we are still in the room. First things first, it's good to be here, good to be in this institute, in this very hall. If I have to say something different, the first thing I'll say is that each one of us normally looks at risks, the high risk items, the deep red and whatever other shades of red, which I think Nandita will be able to talk a little more. But so I would rather focus on amber risks, the risks which are in amber, which probably can have a lot of scope of getting into the red. Right across the organization, we find that people focus on the red, on the risks which are deeply painted as red. But I've seen lots of examples where we focused on amber risks, the ones which are in the orange. And because even when you're driving a car, you don't know whether to stop or accelerate when you see there, when you see a signal going amber. So likewise, I think in life too, one needs to be conscious of these orange risks and take care of that. Regarding the words that you used of emerging and underappreciated risk, I'm happy to hear this word underappreciated for the first time, and I appreciate it a lot. I would just recall the incident of Wimbledon going in for COVID insurance or whatever they called it at that point in time. I think that was a brilliant example which straight away came to my mind when you asked this question. ability to kind of foresee. And today in the session of Milan, we heard that even AI might not be able to predict what's going to happen, or I think even Nandita called it out, that we might not have the ability, but that doesn't prevent us from not even thinking about it. And the last piece of advice is, advice, if I can call it advice, or the last piece of my thought is that, don't do anything that everybody else is doing.
Okay.
If you need to do something different, then, if you need to be different, then you need to do something different. You can't be doing the same thing again and again and expect different things to happen. Even if you do different things, it's not necessary you will get a better outcome, but at least you have that satisfaction of having done something else, and therefore you get called out when everybody is in one line.
So the same, like I will add, Nandita ma'am already repeated this answer given that we have to live out of the box.
Yes.
So Mr. Bhaskar ji.
Again, good afternoon. So it's good to be here post lunch. I hope people are all awake. I'm also trying to stay alive. So it's a risk, big risk. So how do you categorize this risk? This is the emerging risk or underappreciated risk? I think I was just thinking that it is an underappreciated risk. Oh, it's okay.
Closer.
Okay. So, okay, now let me give some theoretical, answer. So one is, when we use a term called risk, there is no unilateral definition. If you just do a kind of a search, various institutes, various things, it is a very underappreciated term. So if that be the case, how do we kind of, handle this? So we need to have a risk taxonomy in place properly. A unilateral or definition is not kind of sufficient. Now typically, again, the terms of probability of risk, possibility of risk, again, I do not know whether we all understand. We reflect on that. We use all these terms very loosely. So what is emerging, what is underappreciated, again, whatever we say something, I don't know whether we can kind of, justify whatever we say. So I'm giving a very, very vague answer. So risk is such a term. If that be the case still, I thought, let me give you some references. So I just, tried. So as a part of Internal Audit Foundation, there's an annual, report which is published. Something called Risks in Focus. So that's done globally. So there's a global risk report. There are cuts which are there for, say, APAC or for, say, Africa or for Europe, etc. So the number one risk which is coming up, which is the digital disruption. So it is not only AI, technology. People are not data literate. People are not understanding. That's a big issue. So we need to have a uniform taxonomy in place. That's what is the kind of recommendation which is coming up. The second one, which in India, we are going through a metamorphosis. We are 1.43 billion population. The average age is some 28 years. Can you imagine? I don't know what is our average age. Whosoever we are talking here, what is our age? Are we really kind of, the representative sample to talk about it? How do we kind of, engage those large population? Now, we were grappling with kind of situations where, how do we engage them in internal audit? But then the aspect is, this is one demographic risk and the digital disruption risk. These two are the top risks, which we can say emerging or we can say underappreciated. So I don't want to again talk further because or else it will consume too much of time.
Thanks. Thanks for that, Bhaskar sir. Yeah, I think, we can talk about risk. Risk is something which I try to give my own definition. Until something materializes, and if there is a chance that it might not, it's a risk. The moment it materializes, risk loses its name to either a challenge or an achievement. So risk can be either or. Now, yeah, so I think all of us, if we think whether personally or professionally, we face risk every day. Coming out of home, whether you will reach office on time or not, it's a risk. Whether you will reach office or not, it's a risk. We take our control measures and we try to adopt to that scenario. And normally, you know, like in India, we say, right, कि there is a God. क्योंकि India चल रहा है. So God must be there somewhere, the way we behave, we operate. In professional parlance, risks are always changing, whether we call it emerging or underappreciated. Today's risk might be tomorrow's opportunity. Today's risk might be tomorrow's challenge. And the definition will keep on changing. Even opportunity sometimes may become risk. So just imagine a situation when Mr. Trump joined the office. We were all so excited, right? I think in India, there were people who were doing Havan. They were doing puja of Mr. Trump. That it's an amazing opportunity for India. But now we are facing that challenge. The businesses are dropping. I think entire diamond market, gem and jewelry is facing the heat. Textile market is facing the heat. Opportunities may become risk. So the only possibility is to stay alert. I think alert is one of the biggest control against any type of risk. You may not have real solution for a risk at that point of time, but staying alert might give you a possibility, a thin line which you can hold on to and convert it into a possibility of completion. So I think risk will always be there. We will never be able to come out of it in any kind of scenario. But how do we tackle that risk? And again, all these terms of emerging, underappreciated, absolutely gives you a parameter on how we measure that particular risk. But unless we answer that risk, we will be nowhere. So I think, yeah, my 2 cents on risks. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you. Harish, sir.
I think everybody's talk about the risk, what is the risk and other thing. I will try to give you an example with which you know that. Risk always I feel is like, Vishwanath Anand. He thinks 3 moves ahead. Your identification of risk is only successful when you are 3 moves ahead. Let me give you one example. Everybody is talking about the Trump and the tariffs and other thing. Now, USA imports 30 million ton of steel, and JSW we supply only 50,000 tons. So when they put the tariff, when this tariff talk was going on, for us it is a very small thing. I produce 24 million ton. Out of 24 million ton, 50,000 tons is nothing. I can sell it somewhere else. The problem is that he is trying to disturb every country. The major portion which US imports is importing from China, South Korea. Okay, these are the 2 major countries. Third is Vietnam. Now, the risk we identified when this talk was going on is that China exports a lot of material to US and South Korea. Now, if tariff is also on them, what they will do? They will dump material somewhere else. So they started, doing something in India. And we went ahead and we talked to the government and we put some safeguard duties. Because of that, we got saved in this quarter. So if I see from the surface, I say, okay, I'm selling only 50,000 tons out of 24 million ton, and US is importing 30 million ton, it's nothing, it's peanuts for me. I can easily find out some other markets. Had this happened and safeguard duty was not in place, every steel company in India today will be bleeding. So you have to think 3 moves ahead. What others will do. Thank you.
Thank you, Harish ji. So now currently Modi is going to meet Mr. Trump. So we all are like hopeful that whether the tariff he will remove. Yeah, Milan Modi was there. So he's also Gujarati. So we'll move for the next question. So next question is for to Mr. Satish sir. So can internal auditor be held accountable if an emerging risk materializes that was not captured in the audit plan? So how do we manage that expectations?
Yeah, we are coming back to the audit plan. It is important to have an audit plan, but we've understood that it needs to be agile, it needs to adapt, and so on and so forth. while doing internal audit in any organization or for any organization, the first thing that happens is, in case there is some fraud or there is some huge deficiency of any particular process, the first question that is asked is, where was the internal auditor? And what did you do? Okay? Now, for that, I think there is something much, much more than that. Now, it comes down to the expectation from internal audit. Now, while I'm talking about expectation, there is only X amount of work that I can do, you know. So if I have to put it in a box, and if this is the box that I have of work, that a quantum of work that auditors do, there's an expectation also. And this is not only true of audit or of work, but even in personal relationships. You know, there is expectation from the spouses, expectation from the family, and so on and so forth. So there is an expectation, and let's assume that the quantum of expectation is equal to the quantum of work that you do. Managing the expectation is one of the most important aspects of life, and therefore for an auditor. If you are able to manage the expectation, you are expected to do only this much amount of work, the expectation is also only that much. But if the work that you do is here and the expectation is here, there is some part of the work that you do which is not required. There is some part of the expectation, the bottom portion, which is there but unfulfilled. Therefore, aligning the two is the trick of life. Okay? Is the expectation static? The answer is no. Is your performance steady and uniform across a timeline? The answer is no. So it is revolving targets. One needs to have the maturity to understand where these things have gone wrong. Even if this question is asked to me, and I dare say that I was not insulated from this question, so long as I have done what I am supposed to do with proper due diligence, expected of a professional, I don't want to use ICI terms now. All that I'm saying is that if you had done your job appropriately, there is a possibility of things getting mixed, and it should not happen often. If it happens often, then obviously there is a bad deal. So long as it doesn't happen often, it happens in a one-off case. There are 9 other good things that you did, which probably was not really in your expectation, but you did it. I think overall life is pretty fair.
But when we miss the one thing, 9 we have done, but one thing we have missed. So that like reflects from the management that you have not done these things.
Nobody is born perfect. Nobody can live perfectly. And perfection is just not all. I've seen even, you know, when Mr. Birla used to tell us to recruit people, they'll say you'll never get a perfect person.
Yes, true.
So I think we need to live with this and have the maturity to move on with life, and also tell the management that they are also not perfect. No, not all decisions taken by companies are also perfect.
So, Mr. Bhaskar, you want to add something to
Lucky
it?
man.
Yeah.
This is lucky. Are internal auditors accountable? Yes, they are accountable. So, be it, if you are an employee, you are more accountable. But if you are, say, outsourced, you can always say, okay, this is what is the scope you are given. So, if you are a in-house or on-roll internal auditor, because you are given certain, mandates, there is an audit charter, there are expectations from regulators, you are only drawing the audit plan, you are only assessing the environment, you are only taking into account the entire risk registers. So to that extent, it's fair for all the stakeholders to expect the internal audits to be accountable. But if you are a professional service provider, maybe there is a little bit of a, advantage that, like, this is what the engagement says, this is what this says, etc. Now, having said that, I totally echo what Satish is saying. If you are a professional, you are expected to kind of, ensure, proper professional due diligence while executing the assignment. So, to that extent, it's not right. At the same time, okay, can we make mistakes? Yes, we can make mistakes. But that we need to demonstrate. We should not be negligent. Negligence is a subjective term, but then, that's something for the donors is honest always to prove that we are not negligent.
I think amazing points, and just reflecting on the examples you were talking about on, say, hiring people. So I remember when I was working with an outsourcing company, and we would hire people. The expectation would be that we hire a combination of Batman, Superman, and Spider-Man, but we would pay only what we pay to a security guard. So that's always a mismatch, right? So perfection you can definitely not have. I have a little different thought because I have seen both sides. Hello. Hello.
We can
Hello.
hear.
I
We can
think
hear.
the time is up. These people have some internal control.
Really? So do you want to hear, or should I, or do you want to go back to sleep?
नहीं, नहीं, talk loudly. छोड़ना मत, जोर से बात करो. चलेगा यार, बाजू वाला भी अपना ही है.
Yeah, so I think see, we have a clear 3-line of defense system implemented, first line, second line, third line. I see that identification of risk is a job of second line, ideally. But then does it dissolve an internal auditor from identifying something which he is getting on the course and able to understand? Definitely not. So your ethical responsibility tells you to observe it, and if you find it, declare it. Now, if the intention is to hide it, then absolutely that's a disaster. But in the normal course of business, you have taken all the efforts to identify, but still you are not able to identify something, I think it's okay. Means there is no way that you will be held accountable for something which you have tried to get, but you have not got. So I think most of the places we have seen this, as long as you are able to prove that should be okay. Yeah, thank you.
Perfect, perfect. So risk does not come with a warning label.
Correct, correct.
So
Let me break it down, and I will tell you as an in-house internal auditor, this is my agreement with my board. There are 5 types of risks. One is strategic risk. So for example, for steel making, I need iron ore, and we don't have iron ore available in our country. So whether we need to buy mines out of India or we need to import, if there is this type of risk strikes, I am not responsible. This is a pure management thing. I am not responsible. Risk number 2, financial risk. Interest rate going up, interest rate going down, dollar going up, dollar going down. There's a hedging policy which is approved by the board. If this hedging policy is not followed, I am supposed to report to the board. Okay, this is a policy approved by the board, this is not being followed. If any loss happens, any risk strikes, I am not responsible. Risk number 3, operational risk. So I have a project coming up where to increase my production capacity at a location from 10 million ton to 15 million ton. How the material will be brought, whether it will come through rail, road, whether proper infrastructure we have, even for the payment of the material. Am I responsible? Answer is no. What is my responsibility is that management has drawn a plan when they have gone to the board and taken approval for the money, capex. At that time, they said that to mitigate the risk, these are the 5 things we will do. We will purchase way bridges, we will purchase wagon tipplers, we will do this, and they are given timelines. My job is to see whether those action plans which they have given, they are happening on time or not. So this is 3rd type of risk. Okay. 4th type of risk is process risk. Yes, I am responsible here. If there are process lacunas which are not brought to the knowledge of the management and any risk strike from that, I can be held responsible for that. Why you are not able to identify those things? 5th risk is compliance. Non-compliance is not my risk. But if company does not have a proper process to track the compliances and to find out non-compliances on time and get escalated, if that process is not there, I am responsible. So this is my agreement with my board.
Appreciated. So we'll move to the next question. This is for the CA Bharat Ramani ji. So this question is related to AI. So lots of things like Milan Modi already told about the AI. So we'll ask, like he is currently in the industry, so we'll ask this question to him. So AI is transforming how business operates, manage risk and make decisions. Could you share how AI is currently impacting your industry or sector and how it's being utilized in your organization today?
Yeah, I think AI the most talked term, I would say, so far. And I generally say that because of artificial intelligence, people are losing their natural intelligence. We are relying, or we are trying to rely so much on artificial intelligence that we have stopped thinking, or at least we are going in that direction. I don't know how far we would reach there, but that looks like a road ahead. But yeah, it's a fact. I think a lot of businesses are taking benefit from AI. I still feel there is a long, long way to go from AI to reach its full potential. And I am from that generation of Terminators. I don't know if you guys have seen Terminator movie series. I am from that generation, and I strongly believe, not maybe the time machine thing, but I strongly believe that yeah, if we go in this speed, we may end up destroying humanity. But that's for some other time. I can talk about it for hours, but not for today. If we talk about business and particularly how industries are looking at it, I'll give a couple of examples. And one of the things I was looking at, and I think it's widely circulated as well, there's a company called Nokia, all of us know. It went down, but I think it's doing reasonably okay after being taken over by Motorola. And I was listening to one of its board members, and they were talking about how they implemented AI in their organization. And specifically, they were talking from audit perspective, not internal audit, but from statutory audit perspective. So they used to spend, say, in our parlance, say 100 rupees earlier for conducting an audit. And it used to take them around 40 days to conclude that entire activity. They implemented AI, and entire checklist-driven audit got converted into what we spend now. Instead of 100 rupees, they would end up spending 5 rupees. How much they spend to implement that, that's a different story. But operationally, they will just end up spending 5 rupees. And from 40 days, the timeline went to 1 hour. Now, this is something which people said on record, and I'm not challenging them. If I talk about my company, so I'm with renewable energy, I'm with Suzlon, and we are also looking at AI in a very different way. In renewable energies, in say wind energy, one of the most important factor is how do you generate energy from wind. Now, wind is not rational, right? It's not standard. It's not even either throughout the day, throughout the year. So we have started taking help of AI, which predicts how the wind will flow based on previous data, based on the weather forecasts, which direction it will flow, which area it will be more in what period, what time frame. And we are trying to match that from our perspective, that in that area, during that time frame, none of the wind turbines should be down. So we do our predictive or preventive maintenance in a way that these turbines are operational during that particular time in that area. So it is definitely helping. We are also moving ahead with, now energy is one of the most critical infrastructure any country has, right? You would have seen during Operation Sindoor. So during our entire northern part, Jaisalmer and border areas, we had to keep our all plants shut and all windmills also shut. Just by the fear that, there were a lot of drones coming in, and their first attack is always infrastructure. Because you lose your energy, you lose your electricity, and your operational abilities get curtailed. So I think what we are trying to do, we are trying to connect all our wind turbines in a way that we are able to centrally control them. We can switch on and switch off, because operationally it's very difficult to go into each area and make them inoperational or switch off during an emergency. So this is, again, we are taking help of AI to read that entire scenario. And again, this is, I'll still say, we are still at a trial stage. It's not something we have, implemented and relying completely. We still have a human touch, whereby we are looking at all these parameters. I am also including some of these things into the internal audit, whereby we predict some of the risks, as we were saying, and we focus on those areas where we can audit. Now, whether it's import duty from the material importing perspective, government has very recently issued guidelines on something called as RLMM, which is a list of manufacturers. So the idea is that entire turbine gets manufactured internally, domestically. Nothing should be imported. That's the end game which government wants to achieve. Now for us, this is like one of the easy things because 90% of what goes into manufacturing a turbine, we manufacture domestically. And not today, since last 20 years. So I think we were way ahead the Make in India before the concept came in. But yeah, we are taking help of the systems, of artificial intelligence processes. But I still have my own doubts on how much we can rely on them until the system matures, until this entire cycle gets matured. It will be very hard to tell. So I just go with one condition whenever I talk to someone, that do not lose your natural intelligence just for the sake of artificial intelligence. And then you are able to achieve what you can. Just before I hand it over, just one last comment which I would make. I was reading recently, a couple of months back, like ChatGPT, there are a lot of models being created in market, and a lot of them were in the test run. One of the commands in the test run given was that after you perform certain activities, switch off yourself. And those ChatGPTs did not do it. So they actually told back to the manufacturers that we are doing such a fantastic job, why would you want us to switch off? And they continued. So they had to be hard stopped. So intelligence, when artificial intelligence takes over natural intelligence, these things will happen. So we have to be a little careful. I do make some controversial comments, so it may be, I'll advise you not to make it outside as well, unless you are able to defend it. But yeah, this is my take on AI. Thank you.
No, sure. So, CA Harish ji, would you add something like how the AI is like you have developed in your company, JSW, in production or in the accounts department or anywhere?
So regarding AI, what Bharat say, I echo with him that, it is in initial stages in India. And in business cases, we started using it wherever it is possible. I'm taking this question in a different way. What will happen to internal auditors? So I have a good news and bad news. Okay. The good news is that, first let's take a bad news. You can use a lot of AI for doing internal audit, and for that, the jobs in internal audit will get reduced. I don't know how many people have seen CA GPT. Please go and visit that site. It is a GPT along with CA Institute. They have developed this website. It is in a beta version. Fantastic. Today I tried 2 examples, and that's why I came here to ask anybody can give us a training. So I told Chetan to find out the people who are using it so that we can get a trained in that. Fantastic. I written only one simple thing that a particular in case TDS is not paid, single line, and that CA GPT has given me half a page audit observation with root cause, with recommendations, with the sections, everything they have given me. So this is a fantastic tool, but it is currently in the beta version. So definitely internal audit jobs will get reduced. If these type of technologies are coming, we know that ChatGPT, what it can do. Good news is that till people are selfish, if there's a mistrust, audit will be there, auditor will be there.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Harish ji. So we'll move to the next question. This will be for the Satish ji. So with increasing complexity in tech-driven risk, do we need to rethink the internal auditor talent model? Or are you planning to recruit more from the tech background like CA with Disha, Sisha?
I think talent is something that is very, very important, crucial for delivery, but the good news is that we've been grappling with this tech talent, I think ever since I got into the profession, which is 40 years ago. Every time we feel that, that good people are not available, and that's the irony of being in India. We say that there is unemployment, but if I ask if there is even one good BCom, I doubt whether anybody can give me a good reference. So that's the issue that we really have. And I think on so far as talent is concerned, whether it's a guy getting a job or the company getting a person, it's important that people network. Now when I say network, I'm not talking about selfish networking. That will I come for programs like this so that I get a better job, or I get something for my. It's not that. It's a steady process of getting minds together, getting hearts together, and as you know, the gray hair comes up here, one gets more concerned about the heart than the mind, you know. But so it's all about doing these kind of things which then attract you. Good people get good people. That's the
Yes.
philosophy of
Yes.
my life. That if you do more of these things, automatically you get dragged and you find the right people, or if in case you get a better opportunity. But if that is going to be the selfish motto, 1 out of 100 may get it, 1 out of 10,000 may get it. Good luck to him or her. That's one part. The second part is to do the three answers to this. The first answer I talked about was networking. The second thing is, and it's good news for most of us in this room, is co-sourcing. You know, and I'm not saying outsourcing, I'm saying co-sourcing, because it's very difficult to get all types of, you know, one side, say in a company like L&T also, okay, where I was heading the audit department, engineering company, accountants going and doing audit. I mean, what's going to be the outcome? So we obviously need to get engineers. Do I hire an engineer and keep him in the department 24/7? Not enough job in the department. So what do? You co-source, you know.
Outsource, yeah.
Outsource, co-source.
Yes.
I choose a word called co-source because in co-sourcing, the involvement of the team is also there. So that there is an internal, focus, and we also, as members of the audit department, know that, you know, how the expert is doing his job, and some of it rubs on to us as well, you know.
Correct.
Of course, we've had bad examples where some engineers went for an audit with the accountant. That fellow learnt about ITC credit and other things, that engineer,
GST.
and about GST and everything else, and this thing failed. So we'll get failures like this. It depends on how we kind of overcome this. The third example that is available is to use guest auditors. And I think most of us are aware of guest auditors, especially in large corporates, because it's possible that you can get an engineer or an IT guy or any other skill source that you require. You can get them from within the company who come and help the internal audit. Of course, there are a lot of training issues and other things that are required,
Yes.
but that can be overcome. They're smaller problems compared to the larger problem that is getting solved. So I would say an appropriate use of guest auditors has kind of helped in this, but there's no one direct answer to solve this problem. We will continue to have it, and it's a good problem to have, you know.
Yes.
So both are happy. Somebody searching the job is also happy, and companies are also happy. And sometimes when you don't get to do some audit, you say that anyway people were not available, what to do, our HR is like that only.
Great.
So on talent, you know, as Satish was saying, this is always a topic always discussed. So on one hand, CAs themselves, they do not want to join IA, internal audit. Then at the top of it, we want people from tech background to join us. What are we, trying to kind of grapple with? So, okay, if our institute has kind of come out with so many courses,
Yes.
this AI for CAs, I think it's a fabulous course. I don't know how many of us have attended. I am planning to attend it. I just saw the curriculum. It's very impressive. I guess that's something which now I don't think can be any tech background. Now education has to be tech. Everything has to be tech. So there's nothing which is kind of, we can say it is tech, this is CA, etc. type. So now this reskilling session, very relevant. There's a constant need for reskilling, constant need for upskilling. It's something which is going to be a continuous process. Yeah, in large organizations where, you have large tenures, suppose you have a 30 years career and, maybe you have functions where, you've got engineering people, you've got tech people, you can rotate, you can do all those experimentation. But the fact of the matter is that even they themselves, they are outdated, and not everybody is seconded to internal audit department. Only people who are problematic, they are seconded to internal audit department. So big issue, So to that extent, I think, it's something which is a real risk. It's not emerging, it is not underappreciated. It's a risk which has to be continuously managed.
So I would add, okay, how many of you have done the institute AI related course? So institute has like 3 days AI related course, and it's like wonderful. And the level 2 has also they have introduced. It's a 5 days course. So I will request each and every like please attend.
Without that, nobody should do internal.
Huh. So we'll move to the next topic for this cyber security and data privacy. So this question is for CA Bharat Ramani ji. So given the increasing frequency of cyber attacks, how can internal audit provide meaningful assurance over cyber security risk, especially in an organization where cyber maturity is still developing stage?
Yeah, I think technology, wherever there is technology, the cyber security risk is there because nothing is isolated now. Now, it's very hard to find a place where you have a physical server in your organization where you are storing all the data. You are either going in a SaaS mode where you take softwares on rent from companies. You are also on cloud where you are storing everything on cloud, and then you are accessing through your net. I think even personally also, most of us has our own space. Everyone either runs on Google or on Microsoft, where you are storing everything on their server, right? Now, cyber security, so I always see, I'll take this into two strides. People and technology, both. Now, technology is there to stay and advance. Now, whatever we say or we feel, technology will be there. And with technology, risks will come. Now, how do we solve these risks, or how do we put in the controls around those risks? So then comes people. Whenever I hire people, I do not look so much on the skill. Of course, the basic skills person needs to have, but it's more on the attitude, how the person is, gearing up towards new challenges or upskilling himself or herself. If that attitude is there, then it's a timing gap. The person acquires that new skill and addresses the concerns. Most of us know what ransomware is, right? Ransomware, I think all of us would know. How many ransomware cases we read in newspaper? Very few, very rare. But in reality, the ransomware attacks which happen, they are in so many numbers that it's very hard to believe. Most of the places, they do not come in the news. People do not want to disclose it because of obvious reasons, right? They don't want their stakeholders to get, panic. They don't want their employees to get panic. And the irony is, most of these attacks happen because of employees' inabilities. Most of it, I would say. There are still technological problems through which the attacks happen and we are not able to counter them. But most of the time it's simple things. Most of these are unintentional issues. Whenever there is a phishing, people end up giving some information which creates these kind of issues. Whenever there is some DDoS attack which comes into play, people do not understand that, why this is coming, how many times this is happening, etc. Everywhere we are storing information, cyber security risks persist. And there is always a cat and a mouse game. The more controls you put in play, more hackers will come to try to breach that control. I recently ran through a case. So my daughter, she is doing cybersecurity engineering, and she was doing internship with a fraud forensic firm. And they came across a case. So there's a company in India which manufactures brands like bags and all those top-notch bags like Jimmy Choo. I'm just giving the name of the brand. These may not be the real brands to whom they are selling. So which costs say 4 lakh or 5 lakh rupees a piece when you go to buy. And then Indian company manufactures and sells it to them under their brand. So they end up making profit. Indian companies also make profit by doing this. Now what happened was the orders do come in from either Paris or London or from different cities around the world. They have a system. Someone sends the order, they check it, they ship the material, they pay the money, deal closes. Now, one fine day, there was a request coming in from the company that we have given you these many orders. Now, we want to send you some money. Now, can you please confirm your email address first? Now, this should be a trigger point, right? A red flag. Why a company with whom I am doing business so regularly asking for my email address. But the person didn't realize it came in from looking like a genuine ID. They sent some email information. Now through that email, they could control their entire system. And the moment they received the money from this company who sent them orders, they redirected it to their bank. This is a live case I'm talking about which has happened. And these guys did not come to know until their next order. Because usually they pay in time, but they didn't bother so much. The next order when it came in, they asked for the money of the previous order. They said, what the hell are you talking about? We have already paid you the money. Now just imagine here we are talking about two sophisticated companies. This is not some small-time shopkeeper or, a novice. These companies, they do have their internal IT department, they have a regular business, everything is fine.
Top companies.
But still this does happen. You will not know where you will get fooled. So whether it's personally or professionally, these risks persist. So there are a lot of places where you know how to avoid this. See, the problem with human mindset is, we do not understand the real problem until it happens. Whatever we can think of that this might happen, we prepare ourselves, but still there is a hope. And I'll say it's not a vulnerability, it's a good thing about human nature also that we have a hope. By nature, we are trusting people. But the incidents make us not to trust something or somebody. Now, this is where the entire controls framework come into play. If we are able to institutionalize the control framework, then I think we can never neglect completely these risks, but we can avoid definitely certain type of risks. So we all have, I think most of our companies, I'm sure Hareshji will also agree, Bhaskar will agree, Satishji will agree, that we have put in best of the technology, best of the people in our departments, technology-wise, we are very advanced. We end up spending a lot of money in that, but still no one can say with 100% surety that there will be no cyber attack or no ransomware attack to us. So the best way is to institutionalize the controls, test it on a timely basis, and then try to tackle the problem as it comes.
Truly said. So when work is everywhere, risk is also like everywhere. So I will add one line. Cyber risk is like a leaky tap. You can ignore the drops, but sooner or later the flood will come. Right?
It will. So yeah I think we can talk about cyber, right? But I would say either in your family or in your firm, your close circle, like we used to say that we need to have a friend who is a doctor. Yes. I now say we need to have a friend who is a cyber expert.
Yes, very well said. So the next question is related to ESG, sustainability and greenwashing. So this question is for CA Satish. So with ESG becoming a boardroom priority, so how can internal audit effectively capture and provide assurance over ESG related risk, data and reporting? And what role should internal auditor play in auditing ESG frameworks, disclosure and reportings and controls?
So I'm running the risk of attempting to answer this question with Chetan Thakkar sitting in the front row, first seat. Okay, because he's an expert of sorts for ESG audit. Nevertheless, since I'm sitting here, I need to answer it, and since she's asked it to me, I'm
Then we'll forward to Mr. Chetan.
Yes, we will. So, my take on this is pretty simple. Auditors can't be expert in everything under the sun, okay? We have to be expert in manufacturing, selling, marketing, and I'm talking from the old school. And if I come in the new school, there's so many other things that, the auditors are expected to be experts in, or, keep on giving advices of what should be done and what should not be done. Is it humanly possible? I don't think so, okay? So, I think Harish had beautifully answered the question, he may not have, or may not have said ESG and all these things, but he said that we as, the business of business is to be in business. The business of internal auditors is internal control. So long as there is a proper process, written down, stated, in no uncertain terms, or if there is some issues around it to fix it, is the role of the auditor. The system is there, it's working, it's first of all translated across the organization at all levels. especially to the person who's actually working. It should be translated to him in a language that he understands. And the control issues around ESG or whatever other list you mentioned, as long as all that is happening, I think we have really done our job. Out of interest, we may get one person in our team who puts his hand up, like Chetan did, that, you know, and says that I have become a ESG
Expert.
specialist and all of that. It's good luck. It's something plus, which we all like to have. We like to have something, and if there is a plus attached to it, it's always better. But primarily, I guess our role is restricted, whatever it may be, whatever terms, is to ensure that there is a process and it is working.
So the ESG is like most like emerging area, and like currently it's applicable to 1,000 companies only. So maybe in future it may applicable to 5,000, 10,000 companies.
Yes.
So we'll move forward for the next question, Mr. Bhaskar ji. So can you share an example where internal audit added unexpected value during a crisis or major change in your organization? One example.
I think during COVID, I think most of the internal audit department, everybody was doing everything, you know. Somebody was in sales, somebody was in collection, somebody was in accounting, somebody was kind of, you know, like doing some HR work. So that's one area where, you know, like I could see that because of the sheer nature of work, everybody knew kind of, you know, what was happening. So they had reach to all the functions, they were knowing the people, they could add value, they could kind of, you know, like engage with, you know, all the processes. So there was like, you know, especially in our kind of like regulated business, when I was serving Tata Capital, you know, like RBI, you know, like had come out with a lot of concessions. So for all the like, you know, borrowers, etc. It required, you know, massive changes in the system, the processes. It required, you know, like systems to be modified. Somebody had to kind of handhold, somebody had to do kind of concurrent kind of, you know, reviews, concurrent audits. So that's something which, you know, like was a great, you know, support to the whole organization. So that's one area where I could see that. And there are, of course, you know, like sometimes you have, you know, large crises. So somewhere, suppose you have some, like, you know, floods somewhere, assuming, you know. So it's quite possible that, you know, there is like, you know, okay, the factory is coming up, you know, I'm talking about the labor days, you know. So when the systems are being put up, again, it's as good as resetting the whole thing. So again, you know, you provide an extended support. Don't confine yourself to only auditing. You are actually building the organization. You are building the processes, systems. You are ensuring that, you know, other systems which are there in other parts of the organization, that's in place. So that's number two. Like number three, again, you know, like you also participate in like other functions like, you know, recruitment, training. You share with the other stakeholders as to what are the kind of benefits. That's an outreach which is there. So again, it's a function which is like an all-rounder function. It all depends on the kind of passion which you want to kind of exhibit, can get involved in many things.
Multitasking.
Yeah, you know, that's something which is very uniquely positioned. So it all depends on the concerned internal auditor's passion.
And do you think like female are more multitasking compared to men?
Yeah, they are more acceptable because, you know, I find that, you know, like, you know, whenever they raise any queries, immediately they get responded, you know.
So we have Nandita ma'am, Jeenal, Ankan here. So
yeah, of course. I remember in
so
my
we
team,
have to like handle one side where we have to handle our home and offices
yes,
and together.
I
kids,
really admire
husband.
I mean, I would say that, you know, I guess women are better auditors because by innate nature, so they can smell things, by their look itself, they can come out with an issue, you know. That's something they are the right competence and attitude.
Thanks
Bhaskar
for appreciating. Please, all girls, please clap your hands.
Bhaskar, for your information, this is not getting broadcast on YouTube.
But it is.
Because he has to go home back.
It is being recorded. It will be shared.
I think if you consider
We'll highlight this point.
if you consider husbands as organizations,
Huh.
females are the best auditors.
Yes.
Thanks for telling me a risk, which I had not identified.
See, this has got everyone excited, right? I think what I was saying was to them that if husbands are treated like organizations, wives are the best auditors ever.
Inbuilt auditor. My husband like always tells me, don't audit now, huh? Don't audit my.
See. But I think your question is wrong, Parul. Female, you need not ask this. Female multitasker, it's everyone knows this, right? It's like they've just not got their dues. Otherwise, females are the only multitasker. I never consider males as multitasker.
Bharat's wife is listening to
True.
this. Huh?
Agreed.
But there are 4 panelists and all 4 panelists are males. And they're saying auditors, females are better auditors. Huh?
You are forgetting the who's moderator. Who can edit you?
So you have a live example of Nandita ma'am.
Sir, she is auditing also.
So she can edit you. Remember, she can edit you.
So we'll move to the next question. To the CA Satish ji. What's been your biggest learning as a head of internal audit? And what advice would you give to someone aspiring to take this role?
I can see a lot of aspiring people in the audience. One thing is, I'll just use 3 or 4 words. The ability to wear multiple hats. I think that is the standout thing for me, because that encompasses everything, all the skills that need to be there. If you need to be harsh, you need to be harsh. If you need to be, and you should understand when you need to be harsh and when you need to be. If you use it the wrong way, you're dead.
But as I met you like first time, but I don't think like you must be like too harsh. You must be like very much polite and as a leader. Maybe I may be wrong. So you must know, you must be knowing like very much.
So, therefore, there is an internal control issue here. There are a couple of people here who have worked or who are working in L&T. Probably if you take them to the corner of the room, far away from my ear side,
So please
and ask them, I think they'll give you a fair answer.
meet me after this session.
So it's all about what you do at that point in time. I mean, at times you need to be a little harsh. At times,
Yes,
the
yes.
general. See, I'll tell you this. I mean, that's a big learning from what I have thought of, and it has continued in my life, whether I'm an auditor or not, as Nandita was saying. Our job is basically and intrinsically negative. It has a strong negative connotation from the inherent quality or the type of work that we do. If you couple that with a negative perspective, that this is wrong, that is wrong, it's very easy. But aajkal kya hai, the way you say it is more important than what you say. I mean, jor ka dhakka dheere se. That also is there. So there are many principles attached to all these things. And the more you're the ability of the person, and especially when you're heading a large organization where, multi-location, and as he said, 2 lakh crores and 4 lakh crores, L&T, Aditya Birla Group. I think even Mr. Birla doesn't know what businesses he's handling, And I sometimes think that even the people who are consolidating accounts probably might not know here. Some things might get, I'm joking anyway. But the aspect is, when it's such a big spectrum, all that you need to do is that you must be found in the organization. You must be like sugar and salt which mixes with the food, seamlessly.
Yes.
Not get stuck there and approachable at all points in time,
Main point.
That's I think the key to the little work that I did in
Boss should
in the
always
audit
be
space.
approachable.
Not only boss, I think even as an auditee,
CEO,
as a
CFO, anyone.
anyone. As a
Anyone.
leader, I think one needs to have that particular approach. So what I meant when I said we may wear multiple hats is that in case the organization feels that, now the focus should be on forensic, that time I should not say, no, forensic is not my work. I'm not there, I'm not responsible. There's somebody there who's sitting, you can give it to him. If that kind of an attitude comes, then fine. I mean, so I think that's the success factor which helps a person to grow in the organization. Forget about growing in the organization. Growing in your own self-worth. I think first if we grow ourselves and we feel nice about ourselves, that today what a nice day it is and this is what I'm going to do and this is what I did. And of course, do what you think is the right thing. I think
Yes.
that's enough.
So, Bhaskar ji, will you please add? So you
What
were
is the
also,
question? I forgot.
So as you are also the head of the internal audit department in the Tata Capital for almost 17 years. So what question is like, what is the biggest learning as a head of internal audit, and what advice would you give to someone aspiring to take this role?
So the learning is that no, it's one of the most what do you say, like prominent position in an organization. So like,
And if
I'm
you
talking
share
about
your any experience, like your head of the like department and any incidents with your employee, so that will be like more interesting. If you recollect, then it's okay.
with the employee.
Yeah, your colleague.
So I mean, every day, every moment has been like that. So I'm just trying to kind of pick out what can be, better. So one great thing which is there as an internal auditor, you are known to everybody in the organization. So
Yes.
that's something very unique. So whether many people may welcome, many people may kind of want to avoid,
Yeah.
So the tact is like how to make yourself, project yourself positively. So one is of course through the kind of audit observations, which can be a pain, but there can be also other positive things like you share knowledge, share kind of awareness, share about regulation, share about compliances, participate in organization-wide initiatives. So suppose you take up a volunteering work, suppose there's a beach cleaning activity, suppose. Now suddenly you find from the function somebody is participating in that. So there's a cricket championship. So they are participating. So there is an audition going on. Suddenly, why the audit plan is suffering? Suddenly I find that the teams are all in auditions. They're going to go for the programs for the annual day. So everybody has to be allowed, So I used to always insist that the team should have lunches with other team members. They should never have within the team. Because, or else kind of, you become very, very kind of like insulated. You need to be part of the organization. So that's something, it's a very unique function where you can cut across to all levels, be it board members, be it regulators, be it colleagues, be it co-workers, be it kind of contractors. It's so much, it's such a wonderful function. You can kind of breathe, sleep continuously about auditing, It's something very, very good. I share Nandita's, passion. So I guess, it's a very touchy question, which you can't kind of, answer in very brief words.
So I will share my experience when I was in Glenmark. So I was 3 years in the accounts department. So I was interacting with my team only. So accounts team, the head of the department. And then 1.5 years I was in the internal audit department. So that time I was interacting with more and more people. Like I have to do the purchase audit, and I fully purchase department I interacted with. So each and every person was knowing me. Then sales department audit, then expense audit, HR audit. So that's the main key area of the internal auditor. So they get to know each and every department of the organization. So the next question is to CA Bharat Ramani ji. So what does the real independence mean for internal auditor in practice, and how they uphold it when facing the pressure from the top management or company owners?
Yeah, okay. So I think I'll just take a little bit on the earlier question and then move into this one. There's a very famous dialogue, if you have seen Spider-Man movies. With great powers come great responsibilities. Now, definitely internal audit is a very powerful function, but there are two sides to it. I worked internationally as well and domestically as well. I still feel internal audit in Western developed countries are much more matured function. People are more respected. I'll not say more feared, but they are considered as taken, they do not get taken for granted, like a lot of times it happens in India. Now here, when I talk about domestically, the expectations do vary. So a lot of times I have seen expectations from our colleague. They just randomly ask something. Can from audit perspective you say that this is fine? You know, we do process audits, right? We have a methodology through we conduct it. Of course, over the table, we cannot say that this is right or this is wrong. And when we say this, we be diplomatic that you may do this, but consider this. That they don't find it, interesting. They feel, no, if I'm asking an auditor, you should be able to give me answer right at your fingertips. This is the reality. So you have to balance it out accordingly. Now, when I look at our scenario on independence, when I talk about it, so internal audit as a role is supposed to be independent, right? We are supposed to report, or we do report to the independent directors, to the audit committee functionally. But the fact remains that our bills get paid by the management, by the company. If the company runs, internal audit departments will be there. If it does not, audit department won't be there. So that's a reality as well. So how do you ensure that independence? Because there is an expectation from the management. And I think in reality, everyone would have faced it, whether it's Satish, Bhaskar or Haresh. In past, I'm sure everyone faced this. There's an integrity within us. We want something to be said, to be told to the senior management, to be told to the independent directors. But then there are stoppages. There are people who do not want it to happen. And that's where your integrity, and a word which I often say, which is losing its value, is ethics come into play. Ethics, I think in today's world, an ethical person in true sense is considered as a weaker person. Actually, it is not. The more ethical you can be, more stronger a person becomes. So your independence can be driven from your ethics. If the ethics you keep at forefront, you will be able to decide whether this is something for good of the organization or for bad of the organization. Because a lot of times things which you are supposed to say in short term, it may look bad, that it may impact the organization, but in long term, organizations do feel good about it. They get the benefit out of it. So complete independence is always a myth. You can never have complete independence. But practical independence is an utmost requirement of today. A practical independence, or the problem with practical independence is, it changes with person. A practical independence for one person may be different than other, because it's your capacity, your thoughts, how do you see it, it depends on that. And that's where the core control framework and core values come into play. So you ask yourself, if you will be able to do this in your own business, when you are running your own business, and if you think this will be good for the business, then you can apply that logic. Not always, but a lot of times. And I have done that in past as well. But one thing I have been certain, that wherever I have worked, whether as a head of internal audit or at the functional side, I have been very clear that I will never compromise on my ethics, come what may. I should be, so when I started my articleship almost 30 years back, my mentor, on the first day, he told me a sentence which I am still carrying with me. So he told me that if someone raises a finger on your work, that you have not done a good job, take it, understand it, and try to correct it. It will give you a great learning. But develop yourself in such a way that if someone raises a finger on your integrity, you should be able to walk away from there. That much control you should have on yourself, on your ethics. And I'm happy that I have been able to do that to whatever extent possible, but I think that's something, an independence you can always measure with the ethical value you are carrying. Thank you.
Truly appreciate, like it's having a courage, we as an independent auditor. So the next question is for CA Satish ji. So with so many frauds happening in companies, and should internal auditors start thinking more like a forensic investigation? And what should our role and mindset during the internal audit?
I think an internal audit and a forensic investigation are two different aspects, okay? It could probably be done by one person, by the same person. That's where I said multiple hats. That's a matter of company to company and what have you. But if you start an audit with the fundamental principle that there is some forensic angle to it, I don't think that we are really doing our due justice to our function. Forensic begins where audit stops, in the sense that if we find some deep red flags, or we find something that is definitely, needs more specific attention. Nandita was talking about the T, So the audit is the top, and when you want to actually go for forensic, you need to dive deep. And therefore, you can't dive deep in all the activities, but wherever you find that there is some signs of some wrongdoing, either those cases need to be done. But one should never ever start an internal audit with something going wrong, because I mean it's not the right thing. It's the second stage.
So not every audit is an investigation, but every auditor should think with an investigated mind.
Yes and no, but yeah, I mean, I don't know how to put it. If there is a audit precedence of something being always, that if I go to this particular location, I get deep red observations.
Yes.
Then you need to get into forensic. But if I'm going to do an audit where there is no precedence of any wrongdoing, obviously it needs to be done for a reason. You do an audit, but you keep this only at the back of the mind. If you find something, then move to the next level. That's the
Deeper
approach that worked for me.
Yeah.
I give you one simple taste and mantra for this. Whenever you do audit, you find out some loss happened to the company. One instance you find out, one thing you find out. One is mistake. Okay? 2 is efficiency. If it is repeating 2 times, same loss is occurring again, the person who is handling it 2 times, there could be a efficiency. The person may not be efficient, and you are given the work for which he is not capable of handling it. 3 times if it happens, it may be a possibility of process. There's a process lacuna somewhere and all those things. If it happens more than 3 times, then you start questioning the intentions.
Yes.
So this is a simple test, I tell you.
Yes, perfect. So the next question is for Bhaskar ji. So looking back over your last 1 or 2 years or 5 years, what has been the most surprising or unexpected risk that challenged your organization, and how did you respond?
Which organization?
टाटा टाटा को टाटा कर दिया आपने अभी.
So right now I belong to some other organization, my own organization. In fact, moonlighting is the biggest risk.
Or any clients
So
there?
moonlighting,
Yeah. So
so
currently you are on the
So
consultancy.
coming to post-COVID, there's a big difficulty to even get the people back, right? So moonlighting was a big risk. So I mean, what's happening? Who is working actually? We don't even know. So I would say that I mean, biggest risk which organization faced was a massive technological change, massive intergenerational change. Newer people coming, their attitude towards work is different. And the third one, which is also happening, is like look at the economy, the world geopolitics also. So while there are so many things happening, but everything is reflecting on the financial service industry. So like everybody wants to kind of become upwardly mobile. There's a large scale lending opportunities which are happening. So businesses are eager to grow the business. So your quality of underwriting has to be critical. The kind of models which you are deployed, everything is AI based. Everything is kind of what do you say, they say underwriting is all AI based. So
Yes.
you don't know what's happening, how the AI has been designed. So you don't know how to even audit the model. You don't have the skill sets, and you are supposed to provide assurance on those. So these are the kind of things which are kind of grappling the profession, which is still kind of evolving. So I think I can go on and on, but I don't have solutions for many of these, because there are certain things which are going on still.
Yes. So Bharat ji, you want to add?
I think all of us do keep, as I said, risks are dynamic, right? You will keep on facing newer set of risks every time. Whatever I have seen past, I have seen organizations, let's not talk about my experience, because I don't want to be company specific on instances, but think about innovation as a risk. Non-presence of innovation itself is one of the biggest risks. And we all know those examples, right? Whether it is Nokia or Kodak film, which used to get manufactured, or for that matter, there are a lot of companies which came in, say, with digital diaries, digital cameras, all those aspects, right? They stopped innovating and where they are. So I think innovation, lack of innovation, I would say, is one of the biggest risks I have seen in industry, in market. But yeah, I think if you can keep on thinking about yourselves from your day-to-day life, what was your lifestyle few years back, what is it today? What you are missing between then and now, I think no one could envisage that as a risk those years back. And that's few of the risks you can see. Yeah.
I think you are becoming redundant day by day.
Yeah.
So you have to keep pace. That's the
Yes.
biggest risk.
Yes. So the next question is, Satish ji. So if you could give one piece of advice to the aspiring internal audit leader in this auditorium, what would it be?
I think I called it out last time also. It's all about networking. The larger the network you have, and I again repeat, it's not a selfish networking. Networking from the real purpose of networking. Networking does help because there's a huge exchange of ideas that take place. Positive attitude
Yes.
is the other supplement to networking.
Truly agree with you, like not only the professionally life, but in the personal life also, networking helps. You don't know whichever area it will help. So maybe I can contact you after 1 month, 2 months, Satish ji.
Even tomorrow.
Yeah, even tomorrow.
Not for selfish needs, okay?
No, no, no.
I think we have a person to thank
So-
here. Chetan is here.
So
He
all
has been.
sitting in this area, please exchange your cards and start like developing networking.
Yeah, I was just saying Chetan has been instrumental in getting us into a network. I think he deserves a round of applause definitely for that. And I think its group is what, 500 strong now? 600 people strong group across India, and I think some international as well, which is commendable.
So I just want
Add
to
us
add.
also.
I just want to add one more mantra. So I think going Nandita's like emphasis on stay curious. So the internal audit definition should be inquisitive auditor.
Curious.
Should be always inquisitive, inquiring, interested,
Questions.
involved, So you can, kind of, that's the only way to kind of stay relevant.
My only advice to all of people sitting here is that you should learn the business. You should understand the business which you are auditing. Whenever I go to audit committees, whenever I go to discussion with top management, we talk in business language. I never use word internal control in my discussions.
Risk.
I talk about the risk. I talk about if these things happen, this will be consequences, or these things are happening, this can lead to this. But understanding the business, that's the only mantra. All other problems, all other mistakes you do, all are pardonable. But if you don't understand the business, you are out.
Truly, absolutely correct. So the next question is, with the hybrid work and outsourcing becoming the norm, what key risks have you seen emerge, especially with the remote teams across time zones, and how are internal audit function adapting to remain effective? Like some of our colleagues are remotely working or in the hybrid mode. How can we control them, and how do we check them, the efficiency? So this question
regarding
is for all, one by one.
there are two, I will divide in two buckets. One, we have remote auditors which are on our rolls. So I have people who are stationed at various locations. So that is the one thing. And another thing is that when I outsource to some CA firms and other firms for this, on-roll employees who are working at a plant location, the biggest risk I see is independence. Remember that I'm sitting in a head office. One of my subordinate is sitting in a plant. He meets plant head daily. He eats with him. He travels with him. The bond is much more greater than what he has a bond with me.
Yes.
So independence is the biggest risk there. So what we have done very smart thing is that we said that any person who's sitting at a plant, who's doing internal audit, he is reporting directly to me. He is not reporting to the plant head anyway. Neither admin way. These HR people come up with the idea that, he's functionally reporting to you, administratively reporting to plant head. We say absolutely no. Even if he is incurring 1 rupee, that expense reimbursement will be done by me. His KRS will be fixed by me, performance review will be done by me, his promotion, increment, everything I will do. For him, plant head is a colleague. Plant head is not his boss. And we make this very clear to any person when we post to the plant location. So that is the biggest risk. Second risk I always feel is that at head office we came to know about a lot of things. So training and all those things happen very fast. For example, we have a CA institute here. You are conducting so many programs. We have II, we have so many things. But at remote plant location, their training becomes very difficult because you don't have those type of institutes there, opportunities there. So what we try to do is that, now because of technology, we conduct the Zoom, training programs. Once in a year, we have our own internal audit conference at remote location where we call all our auditors from the plant and we have 2 days training session there.
Great.
So there is another thing we do. Regarding outsourcing, always the first risk, if it is a nationalized CA firm, risk is less. But if it is a local CA firm, a local firm which I am engaging, the biggest risk is their capabilities. Whether they have those capabilities to understand the business and do the effective audit. We try to do our due diligence, try to ask the reference checks and other thing. That's the only thing we can do. But that risk remains.
Okay, great. Bharatji.
Yeah, I think from our perspective, definitely you covered, and we have seen from our department perspective exactly similar things happening. But I think from remote locations, outsourcing, or if you would have read during COVID as well, I think it posed as a benefit to a lot of organizations during that time, like TCS or companies like them. They could save a lot on their fixed expenses on capex. They gave up a lot of their offices. People started treating their homes as their own offices. There was another risk that point of time, whether the work happens properly or not, whether it happens on time or not. But I don't consider that as an outsourcing risk. I consider it as an objective risk. If you are not able to finalize the objectives of your people, the deliverables from your people for the time and the quality, then I think this will happen whether you are in office or in outsourced location. But I think one of the biggest risks what I see is I think a lot of people are doing that consulting as well on TPRM, third-party risk management, where you provide a lot of information, and from our perspective, when we see a lot of business intelligence information getting shared with them, and how do you make sure that it does not leak out to competitors? And there are a lot of people just sitting on getting that kind of information. So we do have NDAs in place, but those NDAs, you know how they work, right? They are on paper, but I think seldomly someone would have enforced those NDAs. But the fact remains that those informations gets leaked. And so we try to cover it in a way that we provide only that much information what is required, but sometimes it becomes very difficult. Because the kind of work you want to get done, unless you share that entire info pack, it's difficult to achieve that. So I think other than what you just shared, I think this is one of the risks we have seen.
I reminded of one example here. When we were trying to outsource some of the work, one CA firm came and they said that, okay, we have done this audit, we have done audit of your competitor and other thing. And I was asking them, we want to benchmark things and other things. We can share with you, we can tell you that at what price they are purchasing and all those things they are done. So you can compare your price with him. So the first thing I told him that I don't want to give you an audit. So one of my colleagues said, hey, we are getting, free everything. We are getting benchmarking done. So I reminded him that, once, I was sitting in a home on a Sunday And this maid servant was telling my wife what is happening in neighbor's house. And my wife was listening very, very carefully. And, so I told her to fire that. Because, if she is telling you the news, what is happening in neighbor house, my news
Your
will be
house.
also reaching there.
Yes.
So it is a risk.
Yes, yes. Bhaskar, do you want to add to the hybrid work?
I think the biggest thing is like, unless until you meet in person, you get a sense of, like, little bit distant, You need to meet, you need to spend time together, you need to get a bonding, you need to build teamwork. So even if people are placed remotely, you need to kind of visit often. You need to spend some time with them, annually, and they need to come to the headquarters. So we need to have this engagement, because human engagement is extremely critical. Ultimately, it's a teamwork. We need to have regular calls. We need to exchange what's happening. We need to kind of, exchange learnings. So what are the kind of risks which are happening? What are the kind of knowledges? Weekly trainings, monthly kind of exchanges, newsletters. So active engagement is extremely critical. So while it is convenient, maybe special situations I'm okay if they are having some challenges. But the default setting has to be like, in person. You need to be having that, little office decorum. You need to have those office settings. You can't be it's not a casual work. It's a professional work. You need to have a setting.
So it's more like EQ rather than IQ, like emotional
Yes, yeah.
connections.
So ultimately that will kind of add to the
Yes.
Just sorry, Parul, I think you raised a very, very important and interesting point on IQ and EQ.
Yes.
I think most of us, we have been thinking or relying so much on IQ.
Yeah.
But honestly, I have seen it in practice, and that's where when I said I try to bring in that spirituality concept. I think if you understand EQ better, you can get the work done in a much, much better way than solely on IQ. Now, EQ is very different for everyone, and there is no EQ which is right or wrong. Like in IQ, there is a limit, right? That if you are below this is not right. If you are above this is great. But for EQ, there is nothing like that. There is no parameter as such. It's the way you deal with that person that defines the EQ quotient, emotional quotient.
So one of my favorite line, what comes around that, what goes around that comes around. So, yeah, what goes around that comes around. So this is like whatever, if we will do like good, then anyways the good things will come back to us. So now we'll ask some questions from our lovely audience. So any questions from the audience?
Get up from the sleep now.
Yeah, session is over now.
Wake up.
So all the questions are solved.
You asked so many questions, there are no questions left in the
Last benchers. Any questions?
Okay, your fire round ho gaya.
One question. Chetan, bhai, you only ask question.
I have one question to mic. Can somebody give me mic, please?
Chetan.
Not to Harish, let you
अरे
ask.
ले ना.
हाँ.
वो दे दे.
सर मेरे को ऑफिस में जाना
वो दे दे.
मुझे ऑफिस सर के साथ ही काम करना है.
Here is also a little contribution.
Yeah, I have a question. So we have been talking about uses of AI for audit, internal audit, and lot of other things. Uses of AI means we have to give him data. So it's all based on data. So how safe it is, because data is everything, and if we are going to feed data to AI models, different models, it is that we are exposing the critical or sometime very important information to them. So what is your view on that?
See, I will tell you that because currently I'm doing this work on that. I think everybody must be aware about the AI called Copilot. So Copilot is freely available. So now we wanted to started using for our department. So what we did is that mostly AI tools have their free version and they have a paid version. So our company is contacted Microsoft. It is a product of Microsoft, where we are buying a Copilot and we are paying a very big sum for them when we are having annual contract with them, and every year we have to renew that license. There we have an NDA where it is said that they cannot share our data to outsiders. So we are ensuring security like that. Please do not use lot of free available AI tools because they can share the data. In ChatGPT, if anybody has used ChatGPT, there is a button called setting. Go to the setting. There's another button called whether you want this data to be used for improvement. That means ChatGPT will learn from your data and they will do a machine learning and they will improve on that. Then you have an option of button saying yes or no. Please disable that. So that also, one of the things can be done. But please do not use free AI tools. Most of them can, use your data.
Yeah, I think pretty similar to what he just said. But I see this in two parts. Of course, publicly free available AI tools we should avoid using. We also have similar, like we have Copilot, which we use, and we have been told the same thing, that we have an NDA. But mind you, these are all foreign companies. Now, if you think of Naira Energy, and recent incident what happened, on one fine night, 12 o'clock, Microsoft stopped its services completely. Now, this can happen. So what we have done, whenever we feed any information into Copilot, we do not feed any numbers or any sensitive information. We take guidance on overall basis. For example, is there a better way to create a report? And it gives a structure which we can use. So ultimately, the final work will be done by the team. So use it as a tool, not as a dependent item. So if you give everything and tell you to give back the result, do not do that. So there are two risks here. One, that data is getting captured there in any case, even though it is not getting used today, there is no guarantee it won't be getting used in future, one. And second, by doing so, you are losing your own creativity. You are ultimately relying completely on AI to give you a final result, which is not good in the long run.
Any
So,
questions?
like, while, there are governance models available, like in India, like, it is not still regulated. So EU has, regulated. Now, you can maybe look at those and understand what kind of governance structure can be put in place, what kind of things. But these are all, it's a choice between innovation or control. So, suppose suddenly you say, there's a risk, you will not do anything. You will not use Copilot, you will not use ChatGPT, you will not do anything. Then what do you do? So, that's something which is always a kind of a very, debatable discussion. So, organizations might have taken a view that we will not do, but eventually maybe they may have to succumb. So, today, like, there are so many reporting which we are doing to the, government, say, for income tax or various matters. We don't know what's going to happen. While, we keep on hearing that, there are data leakages which happen, there are things happening. But these are something which are there, which we need to know how to navigate those. This is my view.
Any more questions? Jay.
See, we as an internal auditor, we know all about 3 lines of defense. I have 2 questions which are just back to back. Is it a good idea, being as a position front of you, is the internal auditor should also be handle the risk management, or they should only do internal audit and not the risk management? It should be separate function, or it should be an integrated function? What would be the best practice? I can see here around 120, 30 year experience, wisdom sitting together. Want to hear from them. Second question, see, we all know internal auditors basically work around the clock. They have to handle audit committee on quarterly basis, lot of post audits, process audit, IFC testing, lot of things. And they were truly engaged throughout the year. And coming to the role of risk management, most of the places, we don't do risk management, we are a facilitator most of the time. Management is primarily responsible. And so do you think it would be wise enough to have risk management as enough work as an individual capacity, or we should be integrated? So over to you, please. What your wisdom, you all coming from Tata's, ex-Bellas, so would love to hear from you, sir, please.
See, in a very large organization, these 2 functions are separate. Like if I can say, if I talk about L&T, because this is public domain and Sachin is a good friend. So so there it is segregated, and the guy who's handling risk management at the top, is not only responsible for risk management, he is responsible for something else as well, insurance and other things. But he's got people down the level where there's a structure, and there is a proper structure about evaluating risk, country risk, business risk, and there's a whole structure around it. And for audit, it becomes just one more area of activity. Okay. Now, if I dovetail that into smaller businesses, like, if there is a small company with, say, 200, 300 crores, and if I say that, you have an internal audit separate from risk management committee, it doesn't really work. I mean, even where, I am a independent director in Indoco Remedies, which is about 1600 crores. There is a risk management in a very rudimentary form. It is there. It's not that it is not there. So these type of segregations will not come. It all depends upon how that risk management is implemented in that particular group or in that particular company. And it is, if you see the IIA standard also on this, I mean, it clearly says what internal audit should do in risk management, what it should not do. And clearly it is defining what is risk management and what should be part of the ERM. All those things internal audit should not do. For us, again, as I said about ESG and cyber security and other things, we are not experts. We should be there to look at the process, what Harish had earlier alluded.
Just something to add here. To my experience, what I say is, so when I was during my hosting days, what I understand risk management and compliance is LOD2, second line of defense. Internal audit is third line. So to my understanding, risk management is just like any other process, like I am doing P2P audit, marketing audit, production audit. So I used to do risk management audit when I was the internal audit for say wholesale. So that is, I think, the right way of definition.
It
so
is.
That is also one of the universe, I will say, one of the item under universe.
Even the IIA now slowly the three lines are blurring, I mean the new thing. So it's a matter of opinion. Coming back to my point, you must do what is required, listening to what's the sound in the room. You need to
management expectations.
proactively,
Yeah, I think it definitely depends on organization's maturity. But if you think in India, regulators play a very, very big role. If you see FS, RBI is very clear, right? They've defined upper layer, middle layer, base layer. And they're very clear, anyone from middle layer and above has to have these three line of defenses very clearly laid out. But other regulators like SEBI, they have this LODR requirement, but I don't think anyone has mandated to keep this separate. Conceptually, I feel that it should be separate. First line, second line, third line should be very clearly defined. The responsibilities should be clearly defined, and third line of defense should be as independent as possible, because risk management, risk department cannot be independent from the management. It's their job to identify risk for the business and how to control those risks. So their independence will never be achieved. If third line and second line are getting diluted, it will create a risk in longer run. That's very clear in my mind. But irony is, yes, in India, we seldomly see this in other sectors other than financial services.
What you said is right. When financial center, banking sector, insurance, it is very matured. That is definitely risk managers are different person and internal auditor. My question is particularly for manufacturing companies, non-FS.
Ideally, it should be there, but it's not there. The fact is, the practicality, reality is that it's not there. And as I said, RBI has played a very, very big role in making sure that this gets effective. And I have written to SEBI, I don't know if, I don't think they will be listening to me, but I have written to them that at least for listed companies, you should follow this model.
Practically, if you take on risk, you get paid more.
And the frequency is also once in a year, right? So do they have the enough role for risk management to be performed throughout the year? That was my next question. Internal auditor is anyway engaged throughout the year because of quarterly audit committee, IFC testing. Risk management just comes once in a year, come out with top 10 risk and then framework and other things.
It depends on the way risk function is.
Full year, does he has that particular role as a risk management head, as a full year role?
No, in financial services, it's a full-time role, big-time role.
My question was to manufacturing. I think I made it very clear on that. Financial, yes.
So even in manufacturing, for example, the way Harish clearly explained the risk universe, there are certain risks which are not part of the IA or risk domain, strategic risks, etc. So if suppose strategic risks is also there, like constantly you look at what are the steel prices going on, what are overall integrity, what is what. Then if you get into a business risk role, then
So,
there's a conflict which comes.
I am my own this. I
Risk
have not
has
seen risk
no
management getting
borders.
into strategic risk.
No,
Very
I
few
think-
risk manager. 1 out of 10 may be talking about because you don't have influence what price I should be. Business should.
Chetan
Chetan,
Chetan.
risk has no borders.
No, I'm saying risk manager don't get into the strategic risk role. I have not seen my career of 30 years. Huh, sir?
Chetan. Oh, bye. I'll introduce you to Ravi from risk management team in L&T.
Okay.
And then you will understand how many hours of work it is.
Done.
No, I think if you see technically also, we in India, the differentiation between ERM and ORM is very remotely done. Now, enterprise risk management, where we talk about existential risk, it may not have a full-time job throughout the year. But operational risk, I think it has a full-time job, absolutely.
Operational risk normally we internal audit only highlight most of
Exactly,
places.
that's the problem
That's a
because
role concise with our internal audit role, not
because
a
it's
risk.
diluted. It's diluted, that's why. But it
Absolutely.
needs that segregation. And only regulators can bring that segregation in current
Absolutely,
scenario.
absolutely.
See, the practicality, just think about it. In all promoter-driven businesses, domestic businesses, their idea is very clear, right? Make money. But yeah, with good governance, but make money. Now, they don't care about who does what. Now, the model of governance which you want to implement in the organization, unless it comes from the regulator, in a developing country, developing market, it will never get serious.
So Bharat sir, in next panel will keep Chetan ji and the L&T risk committee. So then he
I
can
would
like
happy to do that.
definitely
I would happy to
one
do that.
one he will ask questions in detail.
I would love to do that.
They can
please.
debate.
Debate.
And you can
Yeah.
give it, yeah, you can give two
Okay, we'll
boxing
settle
gloves as
outside.
well.
So the last questions. So the last question. So sometimes just one word say everything. So let's hear about the one word from all of you regarding the future of internal audit. We'll start from the Satish ji. Only one word. Sorry? Value add. Bright.
Bright.
I think I'll always go with ethics.
Ethics. No, you have to tell your own word. Okay. So as we close, it's clear that emerging risk, whether from AI, cybersecurity or ESG or business disruption, are not challenges of tomorrow, but it is reality of today. And internal audit has a crucial role not just in finding gaps, but in building resilience, trust and value for the future. A big thank you to our distinguished panelists for sharing their insights, and to all of you, such an engaging audience. Thank you so much.